everything right, it was you and me.
Hello everyone, my name is Nayeema and welcome back to my channel. And today we have such an exciting video. First of all, I'm home. I'm back home for the summer and I'm so excited to finally be able to feel like I can film. I lived with 3 other people while on campus, and so I felt really awkward. I felt like my voice had to be really low. I didn't want to say anything too crazy out here, but I'm home now and I don't care. I can scream if I want to. I can film at the usual style of filming that I like to do. I don't know what I'm saying. So that's super exciting. I can finally be with my shelves and talk to you guys normally, it feels like. So yeah, in today's video, we are talking about every book that I've rated 5 stars thus far in 2022. I saw McKay film this video and I also saw Jess film this video, so I'll have their videos linked down below. And also I feel like I've seen some other people do this video, so whatever I can find, I'll link them down below. Definitely check all of them out. But I'm really excited to sit down and film this video because it feels like this year I have not had the best of reading so far. Like, I just feel like I haven't been loving books at the usual level that I love them. Like, I feel like every book that I read before, I was like, oh, 5 stars. That was so good. 5 stars, definitely. And this year, I feel like I'm being a little bit more conscious with my rating, and I want to really only give 5 and 4 stars to books that I genuinely love with a burning passion. This list of books definitely will have less than, let's say, like other years that I've rated books 5 stars. But either way, these books are the real deal. They're so good and I highly would recommend them to anyone. So I'm very excited to sit down and talk to you guys about them today. Let me know also if you guys want like a part 2 at the end of the year. I could pick up where we left off. It's currently May when I'm filming this. And without further ado, let's just get right into the books that I've rated 5 stars so far in 2022. Okay, so the first book that I rated 5 stars was The Bride Test by Helen Hoang. This book was so good. I just remember smiling and loving my life while reading this. This was just such a good book to read. It made me so happy, and the hero Kai was incredibly swoony, which I love. So this book follows Esme and Kai is on the autism spectrum. He's autistic, and his mom really wants him to settle down, find a nice woman to marry, and she is taking matters into her own hands. So she goes to Vietnam and kind of starts interviewing all these women to take back to America with her and kind of feel things out with her son Kai, and none of these women are working out. During like the interview process, she goes to the bathroom and there she sees Esme. Esme is working at this like hotel and cleaning bathrooms, and Kai's mom instantly takes a liking to her. She kind of like tests her and Esme answers correctly, so she offers to bring her to America to meet her son, and hopefully things will work out and progress. Esme's really hesitant at first because she has a family, but they're all incredibly just poor. So she is looking at this opportunity like, okay, I can come to America, I can fall in love, bring my family there and provide them with a better life. She ultimately accepts the offer. She really just wants to make Kai fall in love with her, and she wants to do her best to be the best wife possible, but she doesn't know that he is autistic, so a lot of the ways that he shows love is not the most common way. So she feels like he really just doesn't like her, but he's doing like little things to show that he does like her, or he starts to develop feelings for her. At first he's incredibly annoyed, then it starts to progress and she just really feels like he doesn't love her, but he does in his own way. She just doesn't get it. And so this was such a good book. I love this one. I think it's for sure my favorite out of the 3. The Kiss Quotient, The Heart Principle. This was great. I loved it and I highly recommend if you just want to swoon. Like, I felt so much pain during certain points of this book, but also so much happiness. Like, it was just such an amazing book and I highly recommend as well. And the rep in here is of course fantastic. The next book that I rated 5 stars was Bulky by Jessica Cain, and this is actually my first Jessica Cain novella that I've ever read, and this one was so good for no reason. If you know Jessica Cain, she writes incredibly short and smutty, not a lot of plot, but this one had me going. Like, I'm obsessed with this book. So this is Best Friend's Father, Sugar Daddy / Sugar Baby, age gap, forbidden, and a little bit of a daddy kink. Our heroine, and she has been in love with her best friend's father 4 years, and she just turned 18, and she's really just trying to like put herself out there, make him notice her. And then at the same time, her father just lost all of their money and she has no money to go to college. So she decides to create a sugar baby account on this website and send the email of her account to her best friend's father. He sees it and he is instantly livid. He demands she take it down, and from there a relationship ensues between them. She needs money, he has money to give. It's great, it's hot, it's smutty. I don't know why I rated this 5 stars, but I did, and if I read it again, I'd probably rate it another 5 stars. So I highly recommend this book if you like novellas. Even if you don't like novellas, I never liked novellas before. I'm really finding some good ones. I highly recommend, especially for like just a short palette cleanser. If you're in the middle of like 10 books, pick this up. It gives you a little break from whatever you're currently reading, and it was so good and so hot, and I highly recommend this one. The next book that I gave 5 stars was The Takeover by T.L. Swan, and I was so hesitant to pick this book up for the longest time. I read The Stopover in 2020, loved it so much, and ever since I read it I was like, okay, now I need to read The Takeover, and now I need to read The Takeover, and I finally just did it, and it was great. Like, I have no words to explain the happiness that this book gave me. This book follows Claire, and her husband passed away a few years ago, and her husband created this news outlet company, media company. Ever since he passed away, the company has been tanking in views and production value. It's just not going well. And so Tristan, the hero, he owns this big media company, CNN type of thing. He goes to Claire wanting to buy off her company and like revamp it, and she's instantly like, no, who is this arrogant person coming here demanding that I sell my company to him? Like, who is he? So right away they get off on the wrong foot. She doesn't like him. Tristan's very like curious by her, like very infatuated, wants to get to know her more. And so Claire goes away to this kind of like media retreat where people talk and like, you know, like a convention type of thing. And there she sees Tristan, and she is not happy at all that he is there. But there is chemistry there, and for the weekend, the long weekend, they decide to mess around, see where things go. It's really just casual. And so by the end of their trip, she's like, okay, well, this can't continue when we go back. Like, no, I have 3 sons. No, it's over with. And he's kind of like taken aback. He's like, me? Like, someone's telling me they don't want to pursue anything more with me? He kind of lets it go. He lets it go. They go about their lives, and then Claire's oldest son starts to work for Tristan as an intern, and they're kind of like forced back into each other's lives. Tristan is working overtime to win over love from her 3 sons and from Claire as well, because they're combined. Claire won't love him if her sons don't. This book was so funny, guys. Like, it was so funny. It made me laugh so much. The obstacles that these boys put Tristan through, it was just so wholesome and so pure, so cute. And you would not think that Tristan would ever fight for the love of somebody's kids, because that's just not in his nature. He's a bad boy. He doesn't care about kids and family values. And so to see that like switch over, it's great. It's cute. It made me so happy. 5 stars. I highly recommend. I know tons of people get deterred because she is older than him. She has 3 kids. That was what was holding me back for so long from reading this book, but I'm so glad I did. Like, in the grand scheme of things, who cares about a woman older than a man? Like, it's just not important. It is so cute. I love it. I loved it. 5 stars. Highly recommend. I highly recommend. It was just everything. And then I rated all 5 books in the Mindfuck series by St. Abby or Stabby. I rated them all 5 stars, guys. They were so good. If you have not read this series yet, what are you doing? Each book is about like 100 pages long. They sell them in like a bind up. You could read them literally within an hour if you're a fast reader. And I completely binged this series. I read it in a time where I was in a reading slump, and it was great. It was so good. So the heroine is a serial killer getting revenge on this group of men that really wronged her in her past, and she is just going out, 0 F's given, just slaughtering them. The case starts getting traction and gets picked up by the FBI. The leading agent on the case starts pursuing something with the heroine, not knowing that she's a serial killer. This is by far one of the greatest series that I've ever read in my entire life. It had me hooked. It was intense. I loved the chemistry and the passion between these two. I just thought it was kind of realistic, not in the serial killer and FBI agent kind of way, but in the way that they were constantly trying to find time to see each other. But obviously as an FBI agent, he was really busy with work. She was really busy with her killings and keeping it a secret. And so I don't know, this was definitely a really well done series. The fact that I rated all of them 5 stars just screams volumes, especially with how strict I've been lately with what books I give 5 stars. But it was so great, so good. Lana is by far one of my favorite heroines that I've read about in a very long time. She is so smart and cunning, and also not like crazy. She's not like a sociopath. Like, she has real pain and you can't help but feel sympathetic towards her, even though she is brutally killing these people. There are parts in this series where there are times in the series where you really don't want him to find out and you really want her to get away with it. It was great, and it was like a real love too. It wasn't like she started dating him to kind of fool him and get her off her scent. No, it was such intense, such real love that she had for him and he had for her as well, and it was just great. I highly recommend. These are really short and I would recommend them in between books that you're currently reading, like as a palate cleanser. It was great. The next book that I rated 5 stars was Hunting Adaline by H.D. Carlton. I read the first one in 2021, fell in love with it. It is a stalker creepy romance, which I love stalker romances. And the second one picks up where things left off in the first book, and sadly I can't give too much away about Hunting Adaline, but I can tell you a little bit about Haunting Adaline. Haunting Adaline follows this girl named Adaline, and her grandmother recently dies, and in the will she gets her big manor, her big estate, and there she's always loved this manor and estate. It's just huge and creepy and dark, but also beautifully decorated, so she's very happy to move in to her grandmother's old house. And there she finds her great-grandmother's old diary, and in this diary she is talking about a stalker that she had. And at the same time, history is repeating itself. Adaline finds out that she has a stalker, 𝓲𝓸𝓬𝓬𝓪. He is very creepy, leaving notes and flowers and just like killing anybody who touches her. And it's great, it's dark, it's my heaven. I love a stalker romance. I love Touch Her and You Die heroes. And so Hunting Adaline picks up where that book left off, and it's really great, but also incredibly 10 million times more depressing than Haunting Adaline. So keep that in mind if you want to read this duet. It gets very dark and depressing in Hunting Adaline. It was still incredible. I loved it and I gave it 5 stars. My heart lives in this duet. Like, I love them so much. The next book that I rated 5 stars was Hefty by Jessica Cain. This is another book in her Big Boy series, and after reading Bulky, I knew that I needed to read another book, and this is Unpopular Football Player with Popular Cheerleader. This is also mutual pining. They've both had a crush on each other for so long. It's also best friend's brother. So the heroine's best friend is the hero's sister, and for the longest time she's had a crush on him, but obviously this is her Big Boy series and the hero is bigger, and he just has always felt like, oh, there's no way that she'd ever be into me. But no, she is so in love with him, and they're both virgins. The smut was great as always. It was so good. I just have nothing else to say about this book. Popular Cheerleader, Unpopular Football Player, Mutual Pining, Best Friend's Brother, and the smut was great. Again, highly recommend Jessica Cain. This book was so good. There's nothing else to say. The next book that I rated 5 stars was Deadly Class Volume 2, Kids of the Black Hole. This was actually adapted to a TV show a few years ago, but sadly it got canceled. And after I watched that TV show, I read the graphic novels, and this is great. You're back in this world again. It takes place in the 80s, and it follows this boy named Marcus, and his parents died, bounced around from foster home to foster home with not the greatest people. One day he gets recruited from this group of students and this professor to join the Deadly Class School, which is basically the kids of great assassins, and you're basically learning how to like take over and like kill people, and it's great. It's a great graphic novel series, so highly recommend it. The next book that I rated 5 stars was The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, and this was so good. Such an amazing grumpy sunshine. It follows Rowan and Zara. Rowan is the grump, and his grandfather created this theme park called Dreamland. These are billionaires. He has theme parks, production companies, 5-star hotels. It's kind of like a Disney, make-believe Disney World. Grandfather died recently, and in the will, in order for Rowan to get access to a higher position in these companies, is for him to temporarily take over the theme park aspect. He has to renovate Dreamland and work with creators and come up with great ideas to kind of like revamp the park. And he hates Dreamland. He hasn't gone since he was a kid because he has a horrible relationship with his father, and he's, like I said, grumpy. He lost his mother when he was younger, and he has just not been the jolliest of people. So he does not go to Dreamland. He doesn't step foot in Dreamland. He does not like it. There he meets Zara, and Zara is the complete opposite. She loves Dreamland. She's always worked at Dreamland. Her family's always worked at Dreamland. She is just a sunshiny character who loves love and loves children and just loves fun. So one drunken night, Zara sends a proposal basically criticizing the park's most famous ride. She expects to get fired, but instead she actually gets promoted, and now she's working directly under Rowan, and she has to come up with all these great ideas for the park. And Rowan instantly becomes kind of like just infatuated with her. He wants to get to know her more. He's a very difficult boss. It also kind of has like the you got mail trope. They are kind of like pen pals, but Zara doesn't know that she's talking to him. And it's just really great cuteness. You really see a really grumpy person just peel back his layers and fall in love, and it's great and so cute, and I loved it so much. And then I read Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher, and this is the second book in her Dreamland Billionaire series. And it was so good. It follows Rowan's brother from the first book, Declan, and Declan is also grumpy. I would consider this another grumpy sunshine situation. From the first book, the grandfather left in the will that Rowan needs to take over Dreamland and renovate it. In Declan's part of the will, he needs to get married and have kids in order to do something else. In order to get money and like get a higher up position. Thing is, he needs to find an arranged marriage. He doesn't really care about love. He doesn't really care. He wants a marriage of convenience. She'll be taken care of. It's fine. And so his assistant Iris, is working double time to find a woman who hates herself enough to marry Declan. And so it is the day of the engagement party, and his fake wife basically quits on him, and all these people are here. They've gathered around, and they are in a bind because obviously he needs to be engaged. Iris quickly jumps in, and it's a marriage of convenience situation. It's really hard at first because it's very clear from the beginning that Declan has always felt some type of way about Iris. He really cares about her and values her, but there are a lot of boundaries crossed. With her working relationship, she has no time for herself and things that she wants to do. She has no more friends because Declan is just so meticulous. She's been working for him for years. He really always needs her by her side. So they have to work out this like new fake marriage with the balance of her being his assistant, and it's great and so cute. And I love seeing the little hints of Declan really being in love with her without her noticing, and the attraction between them. It was just great. Definitely a slow burn romance, but it was so worth it and so good. The next book that I rated 5 stars was the first volume in the Walking Dead trilogy. This, if you have never heard of The Walking Dead, it follows Rick, and he is a sheriff, and one day he gets shot while in the job, and he wakes up literally to the world ending. There are creepy looking people everywhere. His family's gone, houses are vacated, he has no idea what's going on. And he finds out that the world has been taken over by zombies, and it is such a great graphic novel series. Like, I love the TV show. I watched the TV show years ago, and it had me hooked. And so I really wanted to read these. I originally bought them for my brother, but he never read them, so I just took them back and started reading them, and it was great. I rated this one 5 stars. I was just so happy to be in this world again of zombies, so 5 stars. The next book that I rated 5 stars was The Savage by Sophie Lark, and this is the 5th book in the Kingmaker series, and this one actually does not take place at Kingmakers. This follows Sabrina and Adric, and Sabrina is a student at Kingmakers, and in the last book she met Adric, and Adric has since graduated from Kingmakers, but they end up going on the same adventure excursion together, and from the moment he laid eyes upon her, he became obsessed with her. He's like, listen, when you finish school this school year, be ready, I'm taking you on a date. And so he does, and it's like a great experience. Sabrina is literally like a femme fatale. She is such a badass, and it was so fun to read about. Adric actually offers Sabrina a position, being partners with him in this mafia that he is creating in Russia. They're both fire and fire, so it's just like explosions there, like everywhere there is an explosion, and they're just fiery people, and it was so fun to read about. I did cry some parts. This book felt so intimate and just so special for some reason, and it was great. I highly recommend the Kingmaker series by Sophie Lark. Every book in the series never misses. Like, she is great. The next book that I rated 5 stars was Sinner by Sierra Simone, and I never actually read the first book in the series, Priest, but I just jumped into Sinner, and it was amazing. I sobbed to this book, people. Like, I want to go back and read Priest and then read the 3rd book. It was just so good, you guys. Like, I couldn't believe what I was reading. This book follows Sean Bell, and Sean Bell is a sinner. He literally only cares about himself and the money, girls. He just does not care. Very beginning of the book, he meets this girl named Zenny. First, he doesn't know her name is Zenny, but he instantly is very attracted to her. They have a night of talking and flirtation. Later on, he finds out that the girl that he was talking to is his best friend's little sister. And Zenny, she is about to become a nun. Before she becomes a nun, she wants to experience all of the sexual things, and she wants Sean's help to do so. This is an age gap romance. She's his best friend's little sister, and she's about to be a nun. Very forbidden. It is so hot, so good, so emotional. I wasn't expecting for this to be emotional, but this had me overthinking everything in my life. Like, it was just so good. Highly recommend Sinner. I love this book. It took me by surprise. I actually have a reading vlog up reacting to this book, so go check it out if you're interested in more. It is great. It wasn't meant to be like a long-lasting thing because she's about to become a nun, but feelings start. This is Guy Fawkes first. The next book that I read and rated 5 stars was The Tyrant, Alfred's Rejected Mate by Kate C. Wells, and this is the best book that I've read in a while. It is one of my favorite werewolf romances. I highly recommend. This book follows Una and Killian. Killian is the alpha of this pack, and Una is basically a single female, and single females are kind of like one of the lowest ranked groups in the pack. They have no family, they have no mate yet or ever, or maybe their mate died, but they aren't really valued as much. And so one day, Una is feeling an attraction towards Killian, the alpha, feels like a pull from her wolf. She's also never shifted before. Killian is kind of like this arrogant alpha. He really doesn't really care. He doesn't make the best moves for the pack. He really just cares about himself and the higher up. One day, they're in like the dining hall area. Una feels this attraction and pull to Killian. Her wolf is screaming at her to go and be with him. So this one wolf sees what's going on, and she decides to go up to Killian and kind of like hug him and like kiss him. And Una's wolf does not like that, so she comes out. This is the first time that she's ever shifted. So she comes out and challenges the other wolf, and she gets beaten very badly. Killian asks why she did that. Una says, because you're my mate. And he laughs her off and is like, no, I don't have a mate. And she gets rejected in front of everyone. Una is in intense pain because she was rejected by her mate. Her wolf is crying. She's going into heat. It's just like a mess. She is so ashamed that she was rejected. And she is friends with this witch, which basically offers her a solution to all of her problems. And that is to break the mating bond between them on her end. Not on his end, on her end. So the witch is like, oh, he's gonna regret it. He's gonna regret it because you're gonna be fine and you're gonna be living your life, and he is still gonna have the mating bond. He doesn't realize that you're the center of his universe. And it is so good, you guys. Like, this is by far one of my favorite books of the entire year. It was so good. I couldn't. This is also such an addictive book. Like, I literally could not put it down. When I was reading it, I was rushing home to go continue reading the book whenever I had class or whatever I was doing, and it was just such a great book with pining, groveling. It was great. This is such an amazing book. I gave it 5 stars. And the final book that I rated 5 stars this year was Ruthless Creatures by 𝓲𝓸𝓬𝓲𝓪, and I don't know why nobody told me about this book or nobody recommended it to me, because it was so good, and I'm doing you guys a service. I'm doing you guys a favor. Go pick up Ruthless Creatures by 𝓲𝓸𝓬𝓲𝓪. It is great. It is a mafia romance. I loved it thoroughly. So this book follows Natalie, and Natalie, for 5 years, she's been grieving the loss of her fiance. He didn't die, he just like disappeared from the face of the planet. He has been nowhere to be found. He disappeared on their wedding day 5 years ago. Every year around this time, she gets incredibly drunk and forgets it and mourns the loss of not being married to him, wondering what happened. Did he run away? Did something happen to him? Like, she has never been able to fully move on. She has dated other guys, but she has never been really into the relationship because she still has her head wrapped up around her fiance who disappeared. 5-year anniversary mark, and somebody moves into the house right next to her, and his name is Cage, and there's an instant connection between them. Natalie kind of feels finally like a sexual attraction towards somebody. He is super obsessed with her and just wants to take care of her, but he is keeping secrets. He is keeping secrets, and they are not good secrets. Do they have to do with the fiance that disappeared? Are they even supposed to be together? It is crazy. And this is by far one of the most different mafia romances that I've ever read, because Natalie really was not privy to mafias besides TV shows and books and movies, but she meets somebody who's literally a real life mafia person. Natalie realizes that she's never felt the way that she feels about Cage for anybody else. It is incredibly steamy and so good. There are secrets in here, and it's great and amazing, and I highly recommend this book. So those were the 17 books that I've rated 5 stars so far this year. Let me know if you guys want a part 2 to this video at the end of the year. I'd love to tell you guys about all the 5-star books that I've read. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you guys are excited for summer content, because I'm super excited for summer content. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a big like and a comment down below if you enjoyed, and also subscribe so you never miss another upload from me. And I will see you very shortly with a new video. Bye.
If I got one thing right, it was you